Hi folks, this is a video on assembling these workable track links for Panzer III from this Panzer III tracks from Mini Arts. So these tracks are available for many of their Panzer III kits. I'm currently assembling a Panzer III aus D/B. It uses these tracks as well. The interesting thing is in this box you get this jig, but then in my Panzer 3 kit itself it doesn't have that jig, so it really helps. So if you have it, and I'm already sort of pretty far along in getting the pieces out from the sprues. So here's a tip on how to get this track sort of easier, at least for me, is that you basically clip them off in these pairs, right? So you keep these middle sections, but then you clip off these sort of circular points, right? So that you get pairs of track. And this allows you to hold the middle and sand the curved surfaces on these sort of ends of the tracks. They are somewhat difficult to hold because they are very tiny pieces, right? So you can of course like hold it this way and then just sand it, but if you have a pair then it's easier to grab and sand subsequently. And then of course after that, after you're done with sanding the ends, then you can just clip off these guys, and then you get the separate pieces, and these ends are sort of easier to sand. They're flat. Okay, so that's the way I do it. And for assembling the tracks, this is a pretty useful tool. This is a, I don't know what to call it, but it's like maybe a long neck tweezers. This is from Flexifile. Anyway, so this allows you two things. One is to hold the tracks like this when you are putting them onto a jig, and one is to grab the pins by the neck. Okay. I forgot to say something about the pins. So the pins comes in a sprue, and then you get 0s and 1s, with the 0 having a bit more of the head and 1 having like a flatter surface. They are barely noticeable, but if you care about that, you should like sort of separate them out into different piles. So the way I do it is I clip the pins off by row. So here's one that is already clipped. So what you do is you just remove the sections wholesale, and then hold it in your palm, and using a very rough tweezer. Don't use your delicate one, or like the Tamiya 74123. That's going to maybe break them. So you want to just clip them off by the sprue, right? Don't clip them off by the neck, and clip them off by the sprue. And if you hold it in your palm like that and do it in pairs, the thing wouldn't fly off, and then you can do it really quickly like this. Okay. Oops. Okay. So this is like a row of these ones, and then you can just put them here near your assembly area. Okay. So this is the one. Let me remember that. So that get us ready for putting stuff onto the jig and assemble. Okay, let me zoom in here. Okay. So use your tweezers and just grab them onto the jig. Okay. It's really easy. Okay, so now you have 8 in a row, and my aus the wants 96 per side, and so you do 12 lengths of these guys. Okay, so so make sure you know which way you want, the 0 or the 1s, on left or right, right? And so just grab the pin by the neck and just shove it in. You don't need a lot of force typically. Sometimes you may need a little bit more of a push, but they just go in. I think the molding are pretty good, and so you shouldn't experience a lot of trouble, but if you do, just push a little harder, and then eventually they would go in. And make sure that the pin is going in both of the holes. Sometimes, like because of differences in molding, you may get a bit of separation. So make sure they align when you push them in, push the pin in. Okay. And also don't worry about breaking the pins in case you like use too much force and then it bends or something. There are a lot of spares in the kit, so you can bend whatever you want. But I think I get the neck of it, and so I don't have a lot of trouble with these. You do get into some cases where you need to push a bit harder. If nothing works, you can of course like use a drill and drill the hole open, but I haven't found a need to do that yet. So I'm getting close here. Okay, so 2 more to go. Okay, so here we go. So after you're done, you may want to use a little bit of Tamiya extra thin to just give a little bit of glue at the end of these track pieces. Just do it on the outside, so that they'll stay a bit better. You don't strictly need to do that. The pins holds pretty well with friction, but as an insurance, they do come off. I find very rarely, but they do that. So a little bit of glue would help. So here is one finished piece, and so what you do is, so just carefully look at where the gates are and just clip them off. It's different again for the zeros and the ones pins. Okay, so here. Then this repeat on the other side. So if you want, you can take some sanding stick or sponge to just swipe it a little bit. With the Tamiya 74123 that I'm using, the cuts are pretty clean, so it's perhaps not strictly necessary. Okay, so you get one length like this, so you can, when you are done with all 12, then you can put them together using the jig as well. So here's another length I finished. Oops. Okay, so you just put them side by side. Oops, the other way. Put them side by side this way, and then just push the pins in again. Right, so then you can form all 12 of them. Right, so that's it. It's actually pretty pleasant to work with.